Getting a six-pack is the primary goal of many people who start out in the gym. That's exactly what I wanted, and still to this day I am most proud to take off my shirt when I know my abs will show. It gives you a lot of confidence, more than having big arms, shoulders, or back, or chest, or whatever. It's like the wow factor, the sign that you've actually cracked it. Let's get into how to actually get a six-pack. Your abs are made in the kitchen. No, your abs are made in your life and in gym, and they are revealed in the kitchen. It's a combination of the two, and just saying it's one or the other, like most things in life, doesn't hit on the right points. Build your core muscles, your ab muscles, go to a lower body fat percentage at the same time, and it is the combination of these two that will give you the abs that you want. Clear example of this is if you see like really skinny people, they will have abs, but you would never think, oh, they look amazing, they look great. A, because the other parts of their body are not developed in an aesthetic way, the proportions are all wrong, and also because the ab muscles themselves look very flat, they don't look developed. Isolation movements like hanging leg raises or crunches or planks or Russian twists, cable crunching things, all the machines, all the exercises that just target the abs. It hurts over there, so you get this feeling the next day and the day after. You're like, oh, you know what, I actually did work my abs, it must be getting bigger. But you try it for days and days and weeks and you never get that. This has been my story. Since I was young, I would do all these like sit-ups and stuff, and it would just never work. The reason for that is you're training it wrong. What you need to do is hit your entire core, your obliques and your abs through heavy compound movements. That's how you work your abs. Some of you might know this already. A lot of you, it will be a curveball. You just do the compound exercises like bench press, overhead press, pen lay rows, bent over rows, dumbbell rows, Bulgarian split squat, Romanian deadlifts, barbell back squat, deadlifts. These big compound movements are what build your abs. The primary function of your core muscles are to stabilize your body, to balance and to hold you against different forces. This is why your core is actually a very, very athletic and functional part of your body that you need to give specific attention to. And the way to do that is to actually use it or train it in a way that it's naturally required to do. Like you do when you do some unilateral movement where you have to balance from side to side and your obliques and your core are activated to keep you steady. You know this feeling, right? When you train your abs, it's a different kind of tiredness to when you train, let's say, a heavy bench press. It feels like it's burning. Very stressful tiredness when you train your abs for a lot of reps. That's why, because you're just doing something that's very, very easy for your abs, but over a long period of time and a lot of repetitions. You know what I'm talking about if you've tried it. If you use machines, you are less likely to engage your abs because why? The stabilization is done by the machines. This is why Smith machines will engage your abs less than non-Smith machine exercises that do essentially the same movement. Use free weights. You want to opt for standing movements, standing versions of exercises rather than seated version. For the same reason I said free weights are better than machines, standing is better than seated. Let's take the shoulder press as an example. When you do an overhead press, I mean, if you've done a proper overhead press, you know that your entire body, from your calves to your butt to your upper back, everything is engaged in order to perform that movement with stability, and you bet your abs are working really hard as well. If you do a seated version, because you're sat and you're leaning and there's more contact points with a stable chair which is stuck to the ground, you have to stabilize a bit less. So when people ask me, how do I do ab training? It's like, just do those big compounds. Trust that your abs are getting worked, and that's the main way you do abs. Just like the main way to grow your arms is not to just sit there doing bicep curls and tricep extensions the whole time, which is what 90% of people do, but to focus on compound movements that use biceps and triceps, like pressing and rowing. Your biceps are helping out with a huge weight load when you do compound movements. So where do these ab-specific exercises fit in? What about the crunches? What about the Russian twist? What about the hanging leg raises and all that? It's like they are the icing on the cake. They are the extra little bit that's gonna make your body pop. You do 80% through the compound exercises, and then the last 20% you just add 1 or 2. I personally only do 1. I train my abs maybe once a week in the isolation way, and I just do hanging leg raises, some variation of the hanging leg raise. That's it. And you know, I don't have the biggest abs in the world, but if I get the diet right, which is something we'll get into in the later videos, that's what makes your abs show. And the reason I opt for the hanging knee raise or the leg raise version of the abs is because it's naturally much more functional. If you're hanging, you are working your grip strength. You're making into a version of the dead hang. Also, if you do martial arts, raising and folding your hips is actually a very important movement. For instance, when you grapple and when you're doing jiu-jitsu and you need to pull guard and bring your knees up to your chest and all this kind of stuff, it's a very natural and healthy movement to hang. And it works your hip flexor strength. People don't really talk a lot about obliques, right? The muscles on the side of your abs. Now, if you actually build strong obliques, that's what makes your body actually stand out as well, because they make your six-pack pop and they actually give that outer definition to the six-pack, to the core. They're the ones that stabilize you from side to side. If you're trying to fall off to one side, it's the opposite side oblique that's holding you straight, and vice versa, right? So obliques are extremely functional. They're literally being used each and every second of your day for balance. Most people neglect it. So how do you train it? By doing unilateral movements. Let's say you do a dumbbell version of a deadlift, but you have only one dumbbell in one side of your hand and you're doing this deadlift. Then the opposite side obliques are working to stabilize you, and that's one way to train. But any unilateral movement, whether it's a unilateral shoulder press or whatever it is, or even lunges with, you know, Bulgarian split squats with only one side holding the dumbbell, these things all work your obliques. You need to be taking care of your mental energy and your mental fatigue. You need to cook, you need to go meet friends, you need to do work, you need to like write stuff or read stuff or whatever. The more energy you spend just getting burnt out in the gym, the less energy you have for the other stuff. And planks and these like endless ab exercises, they fry your energy like crazy. They fry your brain. You leave the gym like a pack of spinach. You're sweating. You get that momentary high, like that gratification of like, you know what, I really trained hard today. But then a couple days later, you end up binge eating because you spiked your cortisol, and no different in the mirror. You get discouraged, and as it stacks over 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you give up because you're like, I can't do that. And then you start skipping ab workouts, and then you wonder, why am I never able to get abs? Do you see who has been in that cycle? I see this cycle just all the time. It's the most common cycle, for instance, in the Korean military. These guys doing 300 or like these circuit trainings for their abs and just burning themselves out, not knowing that that's leading to binge eating, that's leading to burnout and stuff like that. So really be mindful of that, and you need to be very strategic, very minimalist, very selective, very smart about the way that you train if you're not someone that is obsessed about fitness and just your life revolves around the gym. And that's the problem with most like fitness channels, is that they almost talk like most people are like them. It's like, no, like most people are like, you know, they're just, fitness is an important thing in your life, but it's not the most important thing, or like it's not the only thing. What does that mean? You need to find the best way to train for you that preserves your energy as well. If you do all this right, you're doing just amazing, but you will still not see your abs if you don't get the diet right, because you'll have that fat covering it all the time. Okay, so that you see that in a lot of powerlifters and these like strong guys, or they've been gymming for ages, but they always have that just like concrete slab of fat. That's what I had the whole time. When you get to that stage where the lower two abs, the bottom two abs can show, that's about getting to a low body fat percentage. That's about eating right. That's about the diet. Okay, and that's what we'll get into in the next video. So if you're into that, hit the subscribe button. If you want really structured guidance on not just the abs, but how to train in a minimalist way, in an effective way, You know, not for fitness influencers, not for these huge gym bros, but just for normal everyday people like me and you, and you want to actually make training a consistent part of your life, check out the link below, because I recently released a coaching program where I, you know, go on live calls and literally talk with you and help you get through your struggles to make the body transformation that you want. All right, thanks very much, and see you in the next video. Okay, so another day of eating the exact same thing. Salad with 1, 2, 3, 4 eggs boiled to perfection with some Malden sea salt, pepper, balsamic vinegar, and some good old Italian olive oil. And today I'm going to chuck in this sort of low-fat tuna, 165 calories with 25 grams of protein. Not bad, eh? Probably not the most voila. Today I actually managed to fast so long, almost like 9 hours since waking up. It's like 4 p.m. now, so like since 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. I basically fasted. I did jiu-jitsu, I just had coffee, water, and that's it. I fasted 8 hours. It's 4 p.m. now. Probably have dinner around 7 with my mom. We'll have this amazing Korean kalbi, like beef stew. And the reason it's a good idea to eat the same thing or similar things, at least for lunch each day, is when you're trying to get lean, you're trying to minimize the amount of decisions you have to make. And if you eat similar things each day that you like, that you enjoy, that you know the caloric content of, then it's just that one less decision you have to make on the way to getting lean, which minimizes stress. People don't think about this that much, but each time you have to decide what to do, like you're taking away from your decision capabilities in other areas. I always say you have a finite amount of energy in your life for the finite amount of things you can do. If you had infinite energy, you could do everything all the time, but you can't, right? You get tired. And it's not just about your muscles and your body, it's also about the fact that your brain's making all these decisions, all these considerations, all these weighing up of alternatives. And usually, when you couple that with like hunger that's compiling, like your hunger's building, and on the other hand, you're getting like more and more stressed because you don't know what to eat, you don't know what you should eat. There comes a tipping point where you just go, you know what, whatever, I'm just going to eat whatever. And that's when you start heading towards McDonald's or these like kebabs or something, because the overpowering hunger that's building and building makes you more angry and angry to the point where you're like, I just don't give a damn. Who's been there? And you will just really help that process by saying, you know what, I just have these 3 meals that I always eat, that I love, that are healthy, that are good. Come questo. And then you don't have that problem. That's actually a really pro tip for getting lean. What else do you want to do? You want to make those 3 meals something that you love, something that's high in protein, very low to no carbs would be really great, especially for lunch. One less thing to calculate, one less thing to decide. If you saw me make this, I probably went a little bit overboard with the olive oil. So the olive oil itself is probably around 200 calories. So this salad, even though you might look at it and be like, oh, that looks really healthy, that's probably only like 500 calories. This has a lot more. There was 165 in the tuna. There's about 70 calories in each egg. It's a small to medium sized egg. So 4 eggs, that's already 280 calories. 280 plus 165 is 445, right? Let's say the salad itself is about 250. That's already like 600, almost 700, with a bunch of olive oil and balsamic vinegar, which is probably around 250. then we're at 1,000 calories. This salad, healthy looking salad, is probably somewhere between 900 to 1,000 calories. It's always a better idea to overestimate your calories, to overshoot when you're trying to get lean, and to undershoot when you're trying to bulk. That's another pro tip. Canned tuna is a very, very, let's say, affordable way of getting good protein. Other than chicken breast, obviously. Let me show you the galbi. It looks rank, but if you tasted it, oh my god. Oh my god. It's one of the best things you can taste. Very similar in some ways to like beef stew, but also very different. Very, very different. Similar to maybe some like North African cuisine where they do similar stuff with the meat, but it's kind of sweet. It's kind of... My Korean audience, or the Korean food enthusiasts, will know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm around 72.8 kilograms in weight right now because I gained like 2-3 kilograms since my brother came back to Korea. I'm trying to lose like 1 kilogram per month for 3 months, which would take me just under 70, and that's when I think my body looks like really, really sharp, like really lean. I like that feeling, you know. Maybe you're someone that doesn't want to get super lean, then you don't do that. But I think losing 1 kilogram a month is a good aim. Of course, like, depends where you're starting. If you're overweight now and you just start losing weight, you'll lose weight much faster than that if you do all the things that, you know, I outline in my channel. There's obviously the huge danger of like leaning down too fast, which is what most people fall into. You don't want to be doing that. Don't think of it as a thing that you do. Think of it as like, can I eat like this for the rest of your life? Also, please let me know if you appreciate this kind of like low production content, because what I think I'll do is I'll make many more of these kinds of videos, and I'll just put it up on a second channel. I'll just make a second channel where I'll just do these kinds of like fitness mukbangs, and I'll just chat about stuff. Not even exclusive to fitness, I'll just talk about all kinds of stuff like health and relationships and just stuff that I learned in my life that I think, you know, depending on your interests could help you. Yeah, because I feel like a lot of people until now have said that they enjoy this kind of like me eating and talking about random stuff, so I want to do more of it for you, but I don't know, I feel strange about just putting these up completely unedited and just like throwing them up. But so I'll just make a second channel where I do that, like these kinds of mukbangs and these kinds of things. I'll just throw it up there, right, unedited, unfiltered stuff. So if you're into that, you know, I'll I guess I'll leave the link in the description to the second channel or something, so you can go check that out if you if this kind of stuff interests you. And you can please ask me questions that I could go into in that channel, like this very informal, in a very informal way. Like if you ask me the questions on Instagram and you just say, hey, like I just want to like to ask you about this for your second channel, then I'll get to those and I'll make videos on them, answering your questions while I eat, while I go for walks, while I just live my life and do that kind of stuff. It's a way to sort of get closer to you, I guess, and like give back to you a bit more than whatever, I'm waffling, whatever. Can't even finish it today. High volume food takes a long time to eat. You get full during it. Can't finish it. Good sign. So yeah, guys, check out the second channel, which is yet to be made, but check it out anyway. Bye bye. Hope that helped. Thanks.